Hello YouTube and welcome to my garden. I have been receiving a lot of feedback, comments, and questions about some of my other videos relating to planting fruit trees, indoor seed growing, gardening, having chickens, and so on. It's always great to feel some self-accomplishment, self-sufficiency, and having a way to distress. And what better way to do that than gardening? My garden is roughly 20 feet by 40 feet, and everything that I plant is grown from seed, with tomatoes, carrots, bell and jalapeno peppers being grown indoors and transplanted around May due to where I live. I also have an area in my garden that I call my berry garden. It's fully enclosed with chicken wire. In this section of my garden, I have strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, and blackberries. This section, I typically plant melons or watermelons or anything with vines. You'll notice that my garden is surrounded by an expensive electric fence to keep the critters out. Where I live, I tend to get a lot of squirrels, chipmunks, garden mice, and other critters that will wreak havoc if my garden is not properly protected. Now I'll walk into a section of my garden I call the berry garden. This is where I have my blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, and blueberries. The yields could have been better this year, but because of the drought, we had some of the plants die. But overall, satisfied with the way the blackberries and raspberries came out. In my garden, I typically plant tomatoes, kale, potatoes, stringo garden beans, peas, cucumbers, onions, cabbage, carrots, pumpkins, melons, and more. This section of the garden is where I plant my peppers, bell peppers or jalapeno peppers, and carrots. I also have some mint and basil growing as well. In this section, I have my cherry tomatoes, garden beans, and kale, and also a section that used to be my potatoes. However, they've been harvested. You'll notice that in my garden I also have a number of fruit trees. I have 3 apple trees, Granny Smith, Fuji, and Gala, plus 2 Bartlett pear trees and 1 peach tree. To keep everything straight and organized in my garden, I usually take half-inch PVC pipe and mark it with the contents of the row. As you can see, we have peas on this one. In this section under my pear tree is where I had my potatoes. To show you how loaded my pear tree is as compared to my apple tree, which only has 2 apples at this point. In this section I planted some more tomatoes, again cherry tomatoes. I have a number of plants. And just walking around this section of the garden, you'll see that I have a lycopene berry tree, another apple tree, and finally make my way around. I have some Concord grapes, a vine that's also doing well, given that we've had a drought. Right behind me is the lycopene, which I'll show you what it looks like in a second. You'll see a small red berries on the branches. And these are semi-sweet. You can use them to make jams, or just eat them right from the tree. Overall this year, I am happy with the way the garden turned out, given that it could have been much worse with the drought conditions we've had. I also have a number of trees planted outside the garden, such as plum, Honeycrisp apple tree, peach, another plum tree, and 2 cherry trees, one being a Stella and the other one being a Bing cherry tree. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.